Hi, this is Brie Sheldon, and I am on air with Igor Matos, Igor Toscano, and Julio Matos. I knew I was going to screw it up. I'm sorry. I am on air with Igor Toscano and Julio Matos. They are both from
Hello.
Brazil. If you guys would like to do a brief introduction of yourselves for our viewers.
Sure.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Igor, and I am mostly a player. I don't design any game, but I play since I was very little. I've been MIB Latin America Regional Director for Steam Games for a couple of years now, and basically we just do lots of demonstrations and we teach games, and I think it's something I like to do very much, to teach games. So I try to always convert people to gaming. I also helped organizing the game chef for Brazil, and we just voted for the final world champions. We don't know yet the results, so I cannot give you any clue of what's going to happen. Uh, and I think that's it for now.
Okay.
Júlio, you want to talk? Você quer falar sobre o que
Yes,
você
I
faz?
understand. Não, por enquanto tá tranquilo. Hello, my name is Julio. I'm a game designer. I design role-playing games. Now I design card games too, and like so much game design at all. I participated all X scene of game design in Brazil with um, tournaments of game design in Brazil, like a Game Chef and others. And I like so much role-playing games and like design and playing these games.
Cool.
Thanks for the inviting.
Thank you guys so much for being on. I know I'm a little rough and rusty because I've never done this before, um, but I'm hoping that we'll get some cool stuff to talk about for people who are watching the Hangout. The
Sure.
first thing I wanted to ask is I know from what I understand, the Brazilian gaming scene is very, very hopping. Like it's very busy and there's a lot going on and there's a lot of innovation. Um, and both as players and as designers and as GMs. So I was wondering if you guys would want to talk a little bit about new stuff that you've seen in the Brazilian game design community and the Brazilian gaming community as players and as designers. Um, just kind of talk a little bit about that and what's interesting to you right now.
Quer começar, Júlio?
Não, não, para começar tudo.
Okay, I'll begin. I think that we're living in a very special moment right now because we are starting to develop a really mature community in terms of design. We for years we were influenced only by American games mostly, and so we have this D&D and vampire background that influenced a lot all of the gaming in role-playing gaming, and we were also in board games. We were very uh, we didn't have had access to modern games for a couple of years. We have changed this in a couple of years because people began to design games, and a market is starting to develop. We have games that are being produced locally, and they are beginning to get accepted by people. People are playing different kind of games. People are starting to accept new games and new ideas in gaming, and this makes they get influenced by these new ideas to develop new games. like Violentina, who is it's a Fiasco-like game. It's very inspired by Fiasco and A Pen for My Thoughts, but it's a game about Tarantino movies, like Pulp Fiction and all other things. That it's by Eduardo Caetano, who is a friend of ours actually, and these games are changing the scenery in general. But we are also very hyped with games like Apocalypse World and Danger World that bring these new ideas, so we have contact with them. And I think that one of the importance of the internet and of this chat that we're having right now is this, because we have these dialogues and we become in contact with other games and new ideas that gets other new games and new ideas.
Awesome.
Yes, I believe in the early past, in history of game design in Brazil, we had produced many games, many American games and other kind of games, and don't have initiatives to create our own games. And now we have a many new designers, many talks with that designers. Sometimes we talk with designers of other countries, like talk with Jason Morningstar, and because of that he indicated us for you, and talk with Mark Henhagen, designer of Vampire the Masquerade. Talk with Aidan Cobel e Sage Latorre for Dungeon World, and because of this interactive scene of game design, uh, we started a new kinds of conversation about that, and I believe this is growing so much in the next years for the future. If you understand me.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Cool.
Also, we are taking game designing more seriously. More seriously. Like we started reading more about game designing and writing more about game designing. We have a strong LARP community in São Paulo.
Yes.
The guys are being published in the Norway and all this Nordic LARP tradition. They dialogue with them a lot, and we dialogue with these guys from São Paulo. So we we have these small niche communities, but they try to talk with one another because they are very weak when they are separated from one another. So to unite them, it's to give them strength. So I think we are doing this slowly, but it's becoming a community. We have different ideas from different parts, and we are taking steps in the conversation about game design.
Yes, and created and probably created a market to customers of these games created here, because in the past gamers, role-playing gamers, Brazilian role-playing gamers, like it much more playing traduced games than gamers
Translated
designed in
games.
Brazil. Yes, yes, this. But now this is changed. It's slowly, but changes.
Cool. That's really cool. I think that it's interesting to see how the community has grown because a couple of years ago, we might not have known about as much of the work that you guys are doing. But it seems like we're
Yeah,
finally getting to the point where we're communicating more and seeing what you have to offer.
yes, that's very true. I think that uh, we need to write more in English and talk more with people from other countries because we don't do that. we just don't. And I think that there is also a growing interest from you guys and from people around the world for games in other countries. And this is very cool because we had like Game Chef last year that Pulse won the world competition. Pulse is from Enshu, and it's a great game. It's crazy but great game, and people just discovered because it won a contest, and now they started to look to other countries and say, hey, there's things are being done in these places. What kind of things? This is very cool. The Italians have a very uh, full scene, and they do lots of games, and they are very cool from what I see. And I speak a little Italian, so I communicate with them with easy. But
Yes. Do you
it's
know
it's
do you
crazy. It's
know
crazy.
Pulse? Do you know Pulse, Brie?
Do I know who?
Do you know Pulse, the game of
Pulse?
Ensure? Yeah.
Yes. I actually tried to participate in the crowdfunding that did not go through for it.
Uh,
Yes,
too
I
bad.
I really desperately wanted a copy of that game.
yes.
Unfortunately, didn't happen. That was a big disappointment because it sounds
Yes,
amazing.
yes,
Yeah. Well, some surprises may come. I cannot make sure of anything, but let's hope for the best.
Fingers crossed. I hope so. That it would be awesome to see it in the English market. It really would. And more of you guys' games. I know that there's currently a Patreon to translate games um, that I think I'm backing. Uh, and there's been a lot of movement. I know that you're also doing translation of stuff into English, right, Igor? You're translating Monster Hearts and Apocalypse World?
yes,
Yes, I translated Monster Hearts. It's going to be released probably at the end of this month, I think.
Awesome.
Apocalypse
we
World
hope.
is scheduled for the end of the year. I'm not translating. I'm just helping revise, but
Okay.
also it's a very. I think it's going to be a very milestone in the RPG market here because it's a mind blow game, and
Hmm.
I think people will read it and say, "Whoa, this is great."
That's awesome.
Yes, because in the
The,
great markets of Brazil, the most part of the Brazilian players playing Dungeons and Dragons or a similar version of Dungeons and Dragons, Brazilian Dungeons and Dragons, called Tormenta, is a version of third edition of Dungeons and Dragons. This is a most played in Brazil now, and in the games is have a little market, but this market is growing day after day.
Awesome. I like hearing about indie markets growing. I'm a big fan of independent creators and publishers making their way, and it sounds like that's happening in Brazil, which is really, really a beautiful thing to see.
yeah,
Yes,
sure.
the crowdfunding is a great tool for this growing of independent game, but the 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 advertising inside of this market for the indie games is really growing. And when I publish my game, the UAD is a sci-fi game, apocalyptic future about apocalyptic future. I used it's pre-sale that is pre-sale, Igor.
You say, or
É venda, pré-venda em inglês é pre-sale. Não, né?
uh,
It's a
uh,
other format to sell It's not. I didn't use the crowdfunding.
Okay.
I use. I'm put my book to sell. Uh,
So you self-published?
yeah, yeah. No, I had a little published, not a great
Okay.
edit. A little published, publishing other little titles of the other little books. But we don't use crowdfunding, and we
Julio,
had
Julio.
many success.
Pre-order. You made a
Pre-order, yes.
pre-order.
I use it
Pre-order. Okay.
pre-order. I don't remember the book. Thanks, Igor.
Yeah, I was trying to remember here.
I use it pre-order and sell. It's a good selling, a good launching, a good publisher, and this
And
is
also,
yes,
also with strong marketing for the pre-order, like people would
yeah,
get extras, extra material for the game, like character sheets that were
yes,
exclusively for the pre-order. The first 100 got
yes.
more things, and
Ye-
this helped to give the hype to early sell
Yes,
the
yes.
game.
I use the same strategies of the crowdfunding, but it's in pre-order, and I have a good pre-order with my book, and now many people is playing the game, and because of that, crowdfunding is a great tool for this growing, but not only this. Uh, I know I think the Brazilian gamers, role players, um, now understand independent games because in the past have a wall.
Okay.
That is.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah. Um, I think that's really cool. I wanted to ask you guys about your recent projects you've been working on. I know that Igor has been doing Game Chef, and very busy with that. Um, so if you guys want to take a few minutes to talk about what you're currently working on and what you've recently worked on, um, that would be cool.
Vai lá, Júlio, você tem mais para falar do que eu.
Yes, now I work with a card game. It's a card game about revolutions. In Brazil, in the last year, we have many protests, riots in the streets, growing the instability of people's protests. The government quando é contra,
Yeah,
eu digo que
people were unhappy about the government, and
yes, yes, people
Okay.
were unhappy.
wrote. Yes, we had several protests all around the country
Yes,
because of
yes.
that.
And I
It was
have idea to doing a card game to playing with this condition, this revolution, and you are inside the revolution and manipulated the government and manipulated the riots in both sides to escape or take dominion to this revolution. It's a little crazy card game about this. And about the role-playing games, now I work with a campaign for Dungeon World, and probably if not if will not have a problem, probably we publicate with a PDF in Portuguese and in English with the help of Igor.
yeah. I heard the translator is a very good one, but I'm not going to say who he is.
Yes, but I think it's important to talk about the game chef, the Brazilian game chef, because Brazilian game chef Revelation, in my opinion, a most mind blowing game of kind of card game when I know in my life of game designer. Talk about this, Igor.
Okay, the game that won Game Chef is the Gift Love card game from João. João is also a very close friend of ours, and it looks like everyone is a very close friend of ours because we just uh, make sure that our good friends are benefited from this, but it's the other way around. They become our best friends because we are involved in the same things. We think alike. We are aligned with let's make games, good games, and so everyone that's making good games is basically a good friend of ours nowadays, and that's awesome. Yeah, we had a meeting, a gathering last this year. It began last year. It was called the Gaming Lab, and so most of the game design discussion actually began to take form in the Gaming Lab. It was a game design only event. It, people should play only playtest things, not you couldn't arrive and play D&D. You would arrive and play Julio Matos card game.
Yes.
So this started the community going. I think it was one of the big marks of Brazilian uh, scene. And so João made this card game. It's awesome. It's not quite a game. It's more of a social dynamics. Each person has a card, and each card tells you a trigger. When somebody do this, you do that to them. Like it's always a good deed. Like if somebody gives you a compliment, you buy them a drink, and if somebody buys you a drink, you give them a hug, and if somebody gives you a hug, you tell them about the song you love the most. And each card complements the other. It's a chain of events. So one people do this, and then this triggers the other to do the other to do the other. And when you do this, you give them the card, so it could actually be played in real life. You could print a lot of the cards and just give to people and hope they will do this with their friends and share the love
Yes.
for everyone.
Share much more good things to
That's
world.
really cool.
Yeah, it was a very good idea, and it captured, I think, the essence of what is Game Chef because it's a gaming, but it's also innovation contest, and with this very good vibe that games can help people improve, and we don't play games just to escape or to. Yeah, we play games to build a better world. We can build a better world with games. So we can learn from games, we can teach with games, and also we can share love with
That is really beautiful.
games.
I like that. That's very cool. Um, so obviously with love gift or gift love, um, there's some social dynamics being explored there. What other like RPG theories do you think are being explored in Brazilian games right now? Um, like GM lists and stuff like that. Like, what do you think is really big and interesting happening now for Brazilian games?
I
Uh,
think the não, vai lá, pode
no,
falar.
talk.
Pode falar.
No, I think that now uh, any not any someone game designers talk much about the GM-less games, um, especially in the community of Belo Horizonte, the city of Igor, and now we experiment. No, I don't know. This is the word. Nós estamos experimentando, Igor.
Yeah, experiment. Yeah.
And now we experience the hack time. We want to hack anyone games, hack Apocalypse World, hack Danger World. This is a concept, a new concept, game design in the scene of game design, and we explore this a lot in in these times. And I believe the games, the micro games, the little games, the micro games, is other verb of this this time, because in the Patreon, uh, many designers, Brazilian and from Portugal, like João Mariano, for example, work with micro games and little games or little hacks for the anyone games, and publish free in the internet the experience, and receiving support from the patrons for doing this, like projects in the Versus, projects in the hack games for João Mariano, have other game designer uh, named Jairo Borges. I don't remember the name of patron of Jairo Borges, but
É,
whatever.
jogos à la carte.
Jogos à la carte, yes. Eduardo Caetano, the author of Violentina, have a patron too, and work with LARPs and role-playing games. And now I believe we building crossovers for mechanics and board games, card games, and role-playing games. I saw much this in the game design, much crossovers, much micro games, and much racking in the Brazilian game designer scene now in this time.
I think the games are much more focused, like especially because,
True.
as Julio said, they are small games, so they have this. Let's experiment with this, and they try to create this sensation, like this is the experiment I want to the experience I want to see from this game. So the small games, but focused on experience. Um, I think that we are talking a lot about RPG as a dialogue. I think Vincent Baker is one of the greatest uh, uh, father of this theory. He propagates this everywhere, and we are following in this direction. This direction that the gaming as conversation. Uh, I agree. The board game role playing intersection it's getting a little thinner. You have games that play with both aspects. You have mechanical but role playing games. And I think this is nice to see a theory that one thing does not exclude the other. You can merge them to make to create this experience.
Very cool. That sounds really interesting. Um, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of innovative things, which is nice to see. Um,
It's true. We have lots of contests. We have four contests during the year. So the production of games is constant during the year. We have the do-it-yourself. It's during the carnival. It's in February, early March. We have the Game Chef. We have the. Qual que é o próximo, Júlio?
RPG Genesis.
RP Genesis. It's organized by Ricardo from Portugal, but most people who participate are from Brazil. You also have, como é que chama do Jairo?
Orquestra.
Orchestra. Orchestra. So there's lots of contests make for they are an exercise for design. So people start to get in touch with this new concept of creating games, and we usually have a great number of people who are participating for the first time. I don't
Yes.
recall now how many in Game Chef were for the first time, but it was not a small number. It was many people were for the first time sending a game for a contest. So uh, pe- people are starting to read one another's game, and this starts making their heads working to create new games, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
That
This
is
contest, this contest given an opportunity to game designer receiving a feedback to your producer. Sometimes you producing a lot and don't have a feedback. You don't know if you lost, if you producing a good experience with your game. But and this concept of games, it's our experience is so uh, new in the game design scene because because of that you need much testing. You need play testing. You need feedback about your experience with that.
cool. Yeah, feedback is incredibly valuable. And it's good to see that there are a lot of competitions going on in Brazil. Um, I would love to see more of the results of those translated in my grabby hands so that I may read them.
Yeah, this is one of the weakest points. We have lots of gaming being produced, but we don't publish them in a book format uh,
Yes,
as fast because we have this feedback and playtesting phase that it takes a huge amount of time, and most people, I think, actually, almost no one makes money from
publish.
publishing games. It's very rare to have a game designer that it's only a game designer that just lives from that, and this makes everything a lot harder for everyone because we I would love to translate all of these games, and if I could I would survive just doing that, and I would translate all my friends' games because many of them are awesome, and I would love more people to play them. But something so hard to do because it's there are many people doing, and we have this large production, but we haven't yet got into the marketplace.
Yeah,
Like
we
we
have
can't.
many prototypes, but
Yeah,
we don't have a finished game.
and
Edited game.
we don't sell in quantities that justify for people to stop working just to dedicate to games.
Yes.
So we have a very a very eager community. We have people who love gaming, but we don't have the money to keep this going. And
Yeah.
I think that's not very different in the U.S. actually. We have
No, I think that's pretty
lots of
similar.
people. Yeah, I think we have this same situation. We don't have Actually, you guys are much better because you have big publisher, gaming publisher.
It's
Our
true.
gaming publisher are all of them are very small, and which sometimes is nice because it's there are people that you can talk with. You go out with them and you drink with them, so it's nice because you know them personally. But it's terrible because you don't have this large marketing and advertising and you don't have the money to organize a big huge event that people from all over the country will go and gather. So it's kind of we are in the middle yet. We we
Yes.
haven't reached a large marketing.
Yes, Brazil is a very big country, like USA, and I believe we we don't we can't connect with all role players in Brazil because a great part of the players playing old games, the first Dungeons and Dragons, playing first edition of GURPS or Vampire the Masquerade, and didn't know the new games or new independent games, indie games, because it's
I think that
talk.
worse than not knowing, it's that they don't want to know.
Ah, yes,
They don't care.
they
There
don't
are
care.
lots of people that just don't care.
A lot of these people don't care about the others. Role playing games have this characteristics of I'm loving the game and I only play this game. I love the GURPS and I'm only playing this GURPS. I love Vampire. I only playing Vampire. In Brazil, have this characteristics.
I think that that's a problem here as well, because there are a ton of gamers in the US, as I think is the case in Brazil, and we have the same thing where they have that one game that they like and they have no interest in learning other games, which is fine, but it does make it harder to make the market grow.
Sure. Yes.
So, um, we are getting close to the end of our time because I don't want to take up you guys' entire night. So I did have one final question for you. Um, I would like to know what you would like to see happen in Brazil for gaming in the next year.
You first.
I would love to see more people playing. Just that, more people playing anything. D&D 5 that came out today, or Danger Woods, or Apocalypse Woods, or Julio Matos' next revolutionary game, whatever. I don't care. I think people should play more because playing more, you will have people buying, which is fantastic because you need economics to keep the hobby going. You will have more people getting in contact with games, and with new games, they will have contact with new ideas, and they will start building new games and taking these ideas further and further and further. I think it's a cycle where everyone wins.
Cool.
Yes, uh, I'm agree with Igor, and I wanna create ways to create a market, more established market in Brazil for to possible publish many other kinds of games and people to receiving these games and play these games. Not have that. No, I don't play this. I prefer playing what I know. I don't want to know new games because I prefer. For me is uh, uh, you don't have you don't need advertising of Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, Dungeons and Dragons have your
True.
fans, have a lot of people to play, but sometimes you have an incredible game, and specifically, for example, have a game in Brazil, A Fita, is a very crazy game, and a little group of people knowing. In the same case of Violentina for Eduardo Caetano, have a little units of this game. This game printing 400 books, yes, 300, 300 in the
Yeah,
first publishing and 100
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
second publishing.
Something like this.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's a amazing game. You have only 400 books existing for this um, amazing game, and because of that, I want the way we building a way to publish more games, and in consequence of that, uh, more people's playing more games. And for your public, Brie, in Brazil now, Encho, the author of Bulls, making a magazine of Brazilian game
Yes,
designers in English.
the analog XP.
Yes, the
Yes,
analog
actually.
XP. Yes,
I backed that on Patreon.
yes.
Yes,
I was very
analog XP.
excited to see that.
Yes, and it's important to share for many people this, because the magazine is free, and he pretends work a lot in that. Talk about game design, talk about the community, talk about games. In the number one, you have a Brazilian game, a complete Brazilian game called Caduceu. It's a game for two people playing with a book like
Murderous Ghost.
Murderous
It was
Ghost.
inspired by Murderous Ghost. Yes.
Yes,
You have two players, and each one has a booklet with instructions to if the player do this, you go to this, and
yes.
it's very
Yeah, I believe if many people knowing this project, this magazine, all around the world, this contribute to growing the independent scene inside the Brazil too.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
thank
I'm
you for having
really,
us.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
I'm,
inviting.
oh yeah. I'm really excited to see what comes up for the next year. I'm really excited to see your game, Julio. I really, sounds really cool. And I hope that I hope that all of your dreams come true for Brazil. Um, because the more that happens there, the more likely it is to finally get to us, where we can, share with you and pass back and forth and innovate and design more. And that's what I really want to see. And I think you guys are a really big key to that. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for
Thank
being on my
you.
little show here.
Thank you, thank you. Awesome,
All right.
awesome show.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the hangout, but if you have any other stuff you'd like to say before we shut down, here's your moment.
No, thanks. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk. A
Awesome.
very bad English with, with you.
Yes, I hope we have a future in gaming, uh, in connecting all the communities of gaming from the US, the Europe, and Brazil, and everyone, and we can share more and publish games from one another with quality and faster. It's my hope for the future.
Awesome. That's a good way to end the night. Thank you both very much, and I'm gonna end this now.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.